If you're seeing a movie and you want to review, who you gonna call? Frozen Things Studios. Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Studios here, and welcome back to another movie review. With the release of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I am here today to do a review on the Ghostbusters movies leading up to it. Starting with this one, yep, the original. So the original Ghostbusters, titled just Ghostbusters, came out in the year 1984 and is directed by Ivan Reitman, the same guy who directed the underrated Draft Day and a piece of shit rom-com, no strings attached. Sorry, I said no hard feelings, but it's no strings attached. A movie that someone forced me to watch. I don't want to bring that up though. Although I like Natalie Portman in that movie, I will admit. And yeah, so going back to Ghostbusters, and it stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, is that how you pronounce his name? Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, Annie Potts, etc. And so basically, the story of Ghostbusters, it's about this group of Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egan Spengler, and Winston Sidamore. Although the latter joins in later, it's just the trio of white men at first, but then Winston just joins in later. Who are parapsychologists, and they pretty much open this business where this business is called the Ghostbusters headquarters. Yeah, it's called the Ghostbusters business, where they hunt down ghosts, and they pretty much trap ghosts into this thing. I can't really describe the invention, but it's like this ghost trapper thingy. And yes, they catch ghosts, and they do this because they've heard about the ghosts that are roaming the city and the city, and so yeah, there's basically ads everywhere, and they have this secretary named Dana Barrett, who is Peter Venkman's love interest, and now they must stop this evil ghost witch named Gozer from taking over the city with her evil army of ghosts. So yeah, I think I mean, not much to say for the intro though. The build up, but I just want to give a shout out to my an old friend of mine from my school, basically elementary. Yeah, this is his favorite movie of all time. I won't give you guys any info about him because I don't wanna I don't want any private information about that guy. But that's all I'll say. That Ghostbusters was his favorite movie of all time. I remember I remember back in elementary, I went on a field trip the very first time I saw this movie was actually on the bus during the field trip in the TV. And it was such a great experience. Watching this movie, I had so much fun, and we actually finished the whole movie for some reason, even though the trip was supposed to take like an hour and 30 minutes long. Yeah. And then other time, I started like obsessing about the film. Yeah, after I saw Ghostbusters for the first time, I could not stop thinking about this movie. I actually absolutely adored it, and yeah, I absolutely adored it. I couldn't stop talking about it. So that's kind of how much Ghostbusters meant to me back then, and I rewatched it again at home. It's not really a movie I rewatched over and over again, mainly because of the quote unquote scary stuff that happens in the film. But yeah, it was just a truly memorable experience watching this film. And yeah, I'm glad that many people love this movie and consider it a classic. Although there are actually some people who say that who call this movie overrated and say it's not a classic, it's not a masterpiece, it's not one of the greatest classics of all time. And I would agree that it's not one of the greatest films ever made. That's already a spoiler for my thoughts, but that doesn't mean it's a classic. And now that I recently rewatched this movie, What do I think of Ghostbusters now? Well, I gotta say, Ghostbusters is a freaking masterpiece. Yeah, this movie freaking holds up and stood the test of time. Yeah, I don't love this movie as much as some others do. Especially Sean Chandler. Yeah, he is the number one Ghostbusters fan. It's one of his favorite films of all time. I wouldn't put it among my favorite. Heck, it's not even my favorite movie of 1984. As there are two movies I'd put above this. Yep, Ghostbusters is my third favorite movie of 1984. My favorite movie of 1984. I think everyone knows The Karate Kid is my favorite movie of that year, and I'd put The Terminator as second and this one. But yeah, unpopular opinion, I prefer Ghostbusters over the Best Picture winner of that year, Amadeus. But yeah, if you've been on my channel, if you've been not really my channel, but if you've been close to me since 2021, you probably remember I called Ghostbusters Afterlife my favorite Ghostbusters movie. Well, now on revisiting this movie and reevaluating Ghostbusters Afterlife, I now think that this is my favorite Ghostbusters movie. Now, yes, I still think. Yeah, I think I might have overpraised Afterlife, calling that one the best Ghostbusters movie, because this one certainly is slightly better. Now, I will say so. I still love Ghostbusters Afterlife. I have not changed my thoughts on that one. It's still a 5 out of 5 masterpiece. Well, we'll see what my thoughts will be when I rewatch Afterlife, but I will say that I wouldn't say Afterlife is better than this film, but I can definitely say that Afterlife is just as good. Like, it's on par with this one. But yeah, I'll talk more about Afterlife when I review that one. But let's focus more on this film right here. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about this film. Although I don't want to jinx it, because every time I say, oh, this review will be short, it ends up being long, so I wouldn't really jinx it. But yeah, now let's talk about this iconic film. Yeah, one thing that makes this movie better, the best one, is just the memorability, just how memorable it is. So yeah, this is the reason why this movie is remembered so well. Yeah, this is certainly one of the biggest blockbusters of its time. Yes, objectively, maybe it is not the best in quality. I mean, the concept of just of four men just fighting ghosts with this prototype thingy, and then they just whip the ghost and put it in a trap is ridiculous. However, this movie does embrace its ridiculousness. Yeah, because it actually is very self-aware. It actually doesn't give a shit. What this movie is trying to do is just be fun and enjoyable, and this movie is definitely the definition of summer blockbuster. It is a summer blockbuster that wants nothing more than fun, and because of how fun and entertaining it is, that's how it became a masterpiece. It's just it resonated with so much people. Emotionally resonating is not really the word I use to describe this film. And even though the plot sounds ridiculous on paper, it actually is well executed on some. Wait, hold up. It actually is well executed. The story on screen, it's actually not bad at all. Yeah, one of the best things about this film, one of the things that actually makes this film a classic, were the characters. Yeah, the four leads, the male Ghostbusters, are absolutely perfect when it comes to their chemistry. I mean, all the characters are iconic. And they're so memorable. Like, people actually just, you can't forget about them. Peter Venkman would be my favorite Bill Murray role. Even though Groundhog Day would be my favorite Bill Murray performance, I'd say that when it comes to Bill Murray's career, Peter Venkman is on the top of his game. Yeah. This is what made this is what this is the role that made that made Bill Murray our rising star. It's his role as Peter Venkman, and yeah, even though Bill Murray is not as good as he used to be, at least it's still like he's still playing Peter Venkman. I'm glad, and at least certainly way better as Peter Venkman than Garfield and him as Garfield. Yeah, and yes, guys, I will rant on the Garfield live action movies in this year. You all know why. Egon Spengler is another highly memorable character, and for good reason. And I'd say I actually like Egon more than Peter Venkman, honestly. When you're watching this film, as a preparation for the new Ghostbusters, specifically Afterlife, Egon Spengler is the most important character to look out for, yeah, because his character is actually what builds into Afterlife. Since you all know, Phoebe is connected with Egon Spengler. Yeah, Phoebe is Egon Spengler's grandfather, if you guys remember, and I'll talk more about that when I review Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah, but my personal favorite member of the Ghostbusters is Ray Stans as Dan Aykroyd as Ray Stans. Yeah, Ray is my personal favorite Ghostbusters member. He is so funny. He actually has the most charm to him, and I love how he's like the smartest one. He's like the brains of the group. He tends to explain a lot that is going on. Explain that is going on, and it's just it's just so he's just charmed. And fun fact, guys, Dan Aykroyd has autism. Yeah, he actually has autism in real life. I am not kidding you. I actually know that fact. Don't believe me? Well, it's kind of your fault for not knowing your facts. But well, even though it's not an obvious fact, but part of his autism is actually what makes Ray Stans a charming. Charming because it's part of the charm. Although he doesn't really, it's not in your face. They don't tell you he's autistic, but you can kind of see a bit of autism in the character. Based on the way like he explain unlike a normal. He'd explain like how do I say this first words. He'd explain it uniquely, something like that. Yeah, I'll just say. The four of them now. Winston is the weakest member. Is the weakest member of Ghostbusters. I mean, but that's mainly because he only appears in like the last minute. He's still great. He's still a great character. And I love his religious conversation with Peter Venkman when he's like he's talking about the Bible and stuff. Even though I'm not a religious person, I'm just saying. If I were to rank the four Ghostbusters members, I would personally say number one is Ray Stans. Number two is Egon Spengler. Number three is Peter Venkman, and Winston Zeddemore is easily last in my opinion. And also, as for the supporting characters, Louis Tully is probably the most hilarious character, and and he's played by he actually, like when I rewatched this movie, I remember I thought that the actor playing him played Austin Powers, you know who, but I was like, no, he's not. But when I searched him up, no, he's not. He's not that. But my personal favorite character in the movie is Dana Barrett. Sigourney Weaver's character. She's probably the most mature character in the film. Although the film is great, the film shines with its comedy. I mean, I do like how Dana's character can get serious and all that stuff. And Sigourney Weaver, this is one of Sigourney Weaver's best performances. Top three. I'd still say Grace from Avatar and what's her name? And then Ripley from the Alien films are her best roles, especially Ellen Ripley. But Dana is actually, I'd say she's actually Sigourney Weaver's most underrated performance. No one talks about her for some reason. And I like the scene like when she actually gets possessed by Gozer, the main villain of the movie. Yeah. And boy, Gozer is such an intimidating and threatening villain. I love Gozer, especially when she has probably the best quotes of the film. The best quotes of the film, especially with "Are you? Oh God!" And then die. Yeah, and Gozer is so good. And yeah, actually, she's a great too, especially when they fought especially when they fight the slime ghost and the Stay Puft the marshmallow. But yeah, why is the marshmallow so cute? Maybe if I call the Stay Puft marshmallow as the giant marshmallow as a character, then he would be my favorite character in the movie. And yes, I will admit, the CGI, the visuals, they're outdated and they're probably the weakest link in the film. But honestly, it doesn't really bother me all that much. Yeah, this is a movie that came out in the early 80s, so I don't think you should unfairly judge visuals when it's outdated, especially with movies that try to have a big budget. When a movie has massive visuals and a big budget, it tries to go for a big budget, then it's technically taking a risk. This movie actually took a risk with visuals. Yeah, it's just the time period this is set in. Yeah, so and at least it's not distractingly bad. It doesn't distract you. So yeah, I know. Yes, I'd still criticize 80s visuals for outdated visuals. But as long as when they're distracting, if they're distractingly bad, then I'll criticize it. One perfect example of this is another film that came out in the same year as Ghostbusters, David Lynch's Dune. Oh my god, yeah. The visuals in the film are so outdated. It's so distractingly bad. Yeah, it's very distracting. Yeah, the visuals are bad, they're outdated, but it's done in a very distracting way. Like, very low effort. At least this one you can see some effort put into it. But you want to know what is my favorite aspect of this entire film? It is the soundtrack. Yep. It is something strange in a neighborhood. Here called Ghostbusters. Yeah. Every time you think about Ghostbusters, the first thing that comes into your head is, well, the Ghostbusters song. Yeah. I absolutely love the Ghostbusters song. It's so catchy. It's upbeat. Yeah. It's just a lot of fun to listen to. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's certainly one of the most memorable songs of all time. And yes, this song is a classic. Yeah. So overall, yeah, Ghostbusters 1984 is nothing else of a classic. This movie absolutely stood the test of time. It shows on why it's a perfect crowd pleaser, a perfect summer blockbuster, and yeah, it's not one of the best movies of the 80s. It's not one of the best classic masterpieces ever made, but it certainly deserves the title of a masterpiece. So with that said, I'm going to give Ghostbusters 1984 5 stars out of 5. Perfect movie. No, not perfect, but rather flawless. So that's all for my review of Ghostbusters 1984. What are your thoughts on the movie? Do you still think this movie holds up as a masterpiece, or are you one of those people who finds this movie to be outdated and overrated? And would Ghostbusters would Ghostbusters be your favorite movie of 1984? What is your favorite movie of 1984? If it's not Ghostbusters, who agrees with me that The Karate Kid is the best movie of that year? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and yeah. Stay tuned for the next part of my Frozen Awards. That one is in the works right now. I don't know when I'll post it. We'll see depending on my mood, but yeah. And yeah, stay tuned for further the review of my reviews of the other Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, sadly, things are not going to go positive from here because the next ones are going to be my reviews of a forgettable Ghostbusters movie and my rant on the fake Ghostbusters after. So yeah, bye guys.